With the regular season over, we are starting to get the All-Pro list, the Pro Bowl list, all those different types of things. And starting with this one, we have the NFLPA All-Pro team. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this, this is the NFL Players Association polling only players. Now, when you look at the AP All-Pro list, it's writers, it's media, and their basically explanation of why they don't love it is because they're basically saying not everyone who works in media and not everyone who has the ability to vote knows what they're voting on, because they don't really know the intricacies of football and they don't watch every single player, every single game. So they like to preface this as this is from the players, because they play against each other. They know who's good. They have a solid grasp on who those players are. So this is by the players through the NFLPA, and the 49ers only had two players on this list. I have a couple issues with some of it, but let's just go top to bottom. We got quarterback Lamar Jackson from Baltimore. I'm fine with it. He's putting up an MVP season. I think the argument would be there, Josh Allen, but it is what it is. Running back Saquon Barkley, valid. Fullback Kyle Juszczyk. That's where the 49ers come in. Honestly, Kyle Juszczyk, I think, will be the first team All-Pro fullback until he retires. So uh, I think he's worthy of it for sure. Wide receiver, you got two of them, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And this is where the first snubbery occurs, is Brock Bowers. Now, shout out to Brock Bowers. He had a historic rookie season, and it was phenomenal. But he did, I believe he had around 50 more receiving yards than George Kittle on like 50 plus more targets. It's crazy. Now, again, historic rookie season, but was he the best tight end in the NFL? I don't think he was. I think he is up there. Absolutely. You could absolutely make the case he was right behind Kittle. But come on, man. Like I know this might sound biased and homerish, also too, considering Kittle's one of my favorite players of all time. So that there's a lot of bias involved, but there's also that's rooted in actual watching, like George in the run game, like as a tight end, not just a pass catcher, as a complete tight end. No one does what he does in this league at his level. Now, there might be other quality pass catchers like Brock Bowers, but come on. No tight end is blocking like George. Um, and if they are, they can't catch. So I don't know. I feel like for whatever reason, the tight end position has become like a fantasy football type position where you only look at the production of the passing game. And, as a former offensive lineman myself, it feels disrespectful to the tight end position, because the tight end position is what it is because they block and catch. They do both. So, but again, a lot of people, they don't know how to evaluate blocking and quantify and rank it. There's no metrics. You can't just look at a box score and be like, oh, that guy blocked better than this guy. So that's where I have my first problem. And again, it's not like Brock Bowers isn't good or isn't deserving of it. But I would have him on the second team, not the first team. You got to give that to George, man. Offensive line standpoint, you got Tristan Wirfs, left tackle, Joe Thuney, left guard, Creed Humphrey, center, Chris Lindstrom, right guard, Penei Sewell. Might be missing a couple Philadelphia players on there. But again, it is what it is. I don't really have a gripe about that. When we look at the edge rushers, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, I believe last year Nick Bosa was on this list, but I'm not going to sit here and say Nick deserved to be on the list this year. I think, with the injuries and kind of feels like a step back in production a little bit. I'm not surprised. Nose tackle, Dexter Lawrence. Interior defensive lineman, Chris Jones and Jalen Carter. Not surprised by that. Off-ball linebacker, Roquan Smith and Fred Warner. So that is the second 49er, Fred Warner. even with Fred being injured all year, and he started out on fire. But just like with the defense, as a whole, just kind of cooled off, and he was playing with a fractured ankle, and he played the whole season, so good for him. But cornerback Pat Surtain and Derek Stingley, free safeties Xavier McKinney, strong safety Kyle Hamilton. No issues with that. But that's it. That's it. That's all we got. That's all we got from the San Francisco 49ers on this list. And I think that's what happens when you have a down year. I think that's what happens when you lose games like the 49ers did, and you don't have the big time numbers and the statistical production that we've seen in the past. So the hope is next year we get a couple more names on this list. And again, I know this isn't what's important. What's important is getting a Super Bowl, but typically teams that are competing for Super Bowls find themselves on these lists. So that's the correlation. So we'll see what ultimately happens, but let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.